Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Düsseldorf, YCS Battle City, where we just decided we have so many players that we're just going to spread them over 2 different tournaments, right in 2 different locations in the same city. This is the story of the weekend. 2,838 players made this the 2nd largest Yu-Gi-Oh! Event in history. That of course makes it the largest in Europe of all time. We're now in round number 11. It's all turning into a blur. We played 9 rounds yesterday, performed a big cut. Only 400 players, roughly 400 players made it into day number 2. They played round number 10 at the start of the day, and now we made it to round number 11. Both of these guys are on the bubble, or almost on the bubble. They can only afford 1 more loss. They should not afford another loss. If they go undefeated, we're very, very likely going to see them in the top cut. So this is where it counts the most. And I can also tell you it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun match to watch. With that said, let's bring the players in. In the red corner, we got Burak, Kayah from Germany. Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, good, you?
Yeah, I'm a bit tired, but we're getting there. How was your day 1 like? What was it like? You got 7 wins yesterday?
Yes. 6. I
wins?
go 6-1, and today a next win. I just wanted. I couldn't test too much the new decks, so I chosen another one.
All right. But you're feeling happy with your deck choice, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun, okay. Right. We're going to talk a little bit more about strategy after the match. How are you feeling about playing on the feature match stage here in front of a couple of players?
I feel really happy. I don't know, I wanted to have a feature match before, and that's nice to have one now.
All right. Well done to you. Please have a seat. His opponent is Daniele Di Pietro from Italy.
Hi, man.
Good morning. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm very good. I'm nervous for the future
match. Okay. You seem well rested. You're full of energy, right?
Yeah, I'm very, very energy.
Okay. How did you prepare for the event? How did you say, okay, this is the right deck for me? Did you play a lot with your friends, or what did you do exactly?
Yeah, I've texted more months for this event, and
It's working out well so far.
It was good, the deck.
Okay. What was your record yesterday? How many matches did you win yesterday?
6 and 2 draw and 1. 1 draw and 2 lose.
Okay, so basically you got the identical record yesterday, started today with a win, now you're in the feature match.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how this goes. Please have a seat as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So both of our players are ready. Judges, can we have a die? There is a die hidden somewhere. Oh, you got dice. Okay. Great. So let's perform the die roll to see who goes first. So Burak is rolling a 6. Daniele is giving it an extra shake, but he can't match it with a 2. You can decide who goes first.
Can start. Okay. He goes first.
All right. Burak decides that he's the gentleman, basically. He allows his opponent to go first. Very nice by him. So, guys, the stage has been set. Let's take it away, guys. We got Daniel Neville and Marcello Barberi on commentary.
Round 11, the second last round of Swiss of the largest European YCS to date. So we have 2 really interesting decks here. These guys are still in contention to top the event. Top 64, largest top cut at a European YCS as well. So we're just waiting for them to get their headphones on. So
of
we can
course,
discuss
but yeah, they are both not the most accomplished players. They're trying their best, and they must feel a lot of tension right now because, as you said, and we said multiple times, it's a huge event, and they are on the bubble, so they can't afford to lose anymore. Yeah. And they are playing on stream, so it's gonna definitely be an exciting match. They are both playing decks that we have not really seen in this version. We've seen different variations of them, but they are quite unique decks, and they're both combo decks in a way. But once more, we can play the guessing game, since we saw one of the players picking second. You can try and guess what he is playing, and we're gonna tell you right before we start. So.
Our going second decks for this format, as a reminder, are Orchest, Crusadia, or Burning Abyss. So
and Lunalight.
Put your choices in the chat. And Lunalight.
And Lunalight, we've seen that, yeah.
I mean, I might have given it away. Or maybe I'm metagaming Twitch chat right now. Who knows? We'll find out soon.
Will you guess correctly? Let's see.
Or it might say under...
If it does, then no,
We'd look rather
it
silly,
doesn't.
but-
It doesn't, but whatever. We can still play with the crowd. We are here.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it looks like they did put on their headsets, so you couldn't have guessed it correctly from the decks we talked about because it's ABC. So
You got him.
you got it. Basically, it is the ABC version that we saw in YCS Chicago, piloted by Calvin Tan, which top 8 with it. It's essentially an ABC core with the Sky Striker engine and a bunch of entrops, evenly matched. So it just wants to go second, because when you go second, a Union Anger is usually enough to go to the ABC, thanks to Clara and Ruska. Which is, if you don't remember, a Link 1 that you can only summon in the main phase 2.
Yes.
And on the other side, what is Daniele playing?
So on the other side, we have a deck I'm super excited for.
Yeah.
50 card main deck. We have Dangers, we have Crusadias, we have Rockets, and we have Thunder Dragons.
And
it has
Guard
everything.
Dragons even. Yeah,
And Guard
everything.
Dragons. Just threw it out.
Yeah.
Like, you have a cool card, shove it in there.
Yeah.
It just works.
And once more, like, there are 6 Antrops in the ABC deck, but if there is a deck that you don't want to let start, is definitely Daniele's deck. It's it seems like it's a huge combo deck. We see the Eradicator Virus. We saw, for example, in Dinka deck, we saw a lot of combos, with the Fuel Spell, the Waterfront, which is the Kaiju Fuel Spell, again with the Gameciel. If you can summon that in the first round, you have basically 2 negations. It's such an incredible combo.
Gameciel is insane, because not only do you have multiple negations with it, then if you have any other interaction, it just gets you an extra negation for your Gameciel. And it negates and banishes as well.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time we see any form of rocket card on stream.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how Daniele build this deck. So without further ado, let's go to the table. Okay.
Union Hanger opening for the ABC.
And Veiler, okay. So Veiler gives him a little bit of hope. And yeah, Daniele didn't realize he was actually going first. He's definitely happy to see that. And
summons Maximus.
Yeah, as you can see, his hand is basically just a bunch of different cards and different engines. And let's see what he is able to do with it.
Have you come across this variant of
Not at
Crusadia
all.
before?
I've never seen something like this, honestly.
I am super excited to see what it does, because Crusadia itself generally, before the Guard Dragon support, was definitely a going second deck,
Exactly.
right? But it looks like this is the sort of deck that is going to look to get Kyoto Waterfront turn 1 and end up with something similar to what World Chalice was doing a couple of months ago. We see Quick Launch, which is a really good rocket card.
Exactly.
We'll bring it up for you guys in a second, because it's definitely worth checking out. I believe it is emergency teleport for rocket cards, but destroys it at the end of the turn. And for anybody who hasn't played when emergency teleport is relevant, that card's really, really good. Being able to summon from your deck. It's also having... There's a certain threshold of cards that you can play, at which point you are less hurt by Ash Blossom. So being able to play cards like that means that even if your opponent Ash Blossoms it, then you can kind of start resolving your other card effects.
He's playing a rather small engine, but it works really well, because he's essentially, as you said, 3 emergency teleports in the form of launch.
Yes.
And as you could see, he gets the Dragon and the Synchron, so he's able to swarm the field with the Crusadias.
So he's just explaining the effect of Crusadia Spacia there, which is she allows you to move cards in the main monster zone, which is relevant for Crusadia effects because they need to point at their cards. We see Crusadia Guard Dragon coming down. And so Dangers really help these kind of decks, because it means that he's able to play a 50-card deck. We're activating Jackalope, but he can play a 50-card deck, and the Dangers can pad out the deck, so you're less likely to draw garnets and combo pieces that you want in your deck.
Exactly.
And then the Dangers basically act as kind of cantrips, where they're reducing the actual effective cards in deck.
Throughout the day, we've seen how Dangers are either used for like an XYZ engine, but in this case, this deck floats very well, and they can be used for the Saruya School Dread.
Yes.
So it's very easy to summon it in this deck, and once you go for a Saruya, it's very easy to go for the Guard Dragon train, let's say.
Yeah.
Because it points in all the directions you need.
Another thing that you can make with Dangers is you can summon Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion, which is something that we saw yesterday. They're such a versatile archetype in that regard.
They really are. So now he's using the Crusadia effect. He can move the zone, and this is why this is an incredible synergy between Crusadias and Guard Dragons, because as we know, you need to have two zone pointing to where you want to summon, but we're getting to see a Veiler on the LP now. Stopping what was most likely going to be a Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon.
That's a really good call. Stopping the access to Darkness Metal Dragon is really clutch here. We'll see if Daniele has any other access to his deck, but
Seems
it
like
looks
the Veiler was too much for his end.
He can discard Dragon Dark. Ooh.
Oh.
World Legacy Succession is quite a good card.
Yep.
Lets him summon back to his Link monster's point to.
Exactly.
Um,
And now he's probably going for a Skull Dread. Yeah, that's what he's going for.
He doesn't need to summon Darkness Metal from his deck. He can just draw into it. Skull Dread, again, we're seeing it such an important card in the combo decks of this format, where it's no longer a case of I'm going to build a U-Link or I'm going to rip your hand apart. Now it's a case of I'm just going to build as good a board as I can.
And I saw a terraforming, so that means we could see the Gamesio we were talking about. It works really well with Skull Dread. That's the way you get it from your end. And if you have two negations, it would be really hard for Burak to fight back. So let's see.
And Kyoto Waterfront is just such an amazingly strong card. It lets you search kaijus. It makes Gameciel go from being something you want your opponent to have to something you want to have. And I really like it in these kind of board-centric combo decks because it means that your opponent can't kaiju you because I already have a Gameciel on board.
Yes, it seems like he instead decided to use Cool Dread to special summon the Dragon Dark. But he will still be able to do a lot. He now gets the thanks to the Call Up Serpent, he will be able to search the Wyver Buster. He has the Guard Dragon as well, so...
And so now Burak's hand, he needs to see a... Does he play Photon Trasher?
No, he doesn't play. This deck only plays the Sky Strikers as extender, let's say. Even though you play a bunch of cards for going second, like Mind Control and Widow Anchor, if Gameciel is gonna come down, that's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah. I guess you can... I would be more worried about Colossus here, because without Union Hanger... although Union Hanger can equip from deck under Colossus. So yeah, I guess Gameciel is
it's even worse. Card. And he might be able to just bring everything down, so...
He's building quite a board for himself.
Definitely, because now he has access to both Pisty and Agripane, and he will be able to summon from the extra deck what's most likely going to be a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which is even one more negation. So the Effect Veiler was definitely a good way, because if he didn't have one more extender, which was the Succession, he might have stopped Daniele, but it seems like he's just going...
For sure. And the Effect Veiler definitely hit the right target.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't know that he had access to Skull Dread, because he wouldn't have been able to, so...
But if your opponent gets access to the Darkness Metal Dragon, they're guaranteed access to Skull Dread plus more stuff anyway.
You need to hit it there, and now we're gonna see even a second Saruyo. And that's gonna be devastating, because now he's gonna use the effect to special summon the Gameciel, so...
And he gets to draw a bunch of cards.
Yes.
Drawing cards and cycling through your deck like this is really good. It means he can possibly find an Eradicator Epidemic Virus, so that he can guarantee getting knowledge from his opponent as well, as to what his opponent is playing. So what sort of draw are you looking for here as the ABC player?
You're still waiting on what's happening, because Guard Dragon Crusadia is definitely a deck, but we've not seen Thunder Dragon mix with them. So I'm sure that Burak is also wondering what's happening, like what is the ending to this. And to be fair, he's probably just gonna study this for game 2 and 3 as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, depending on the ending field of Daniele, he just picks up his card without revealing what he's playing. Because honestly, if you go second and have Epic Veiler, it doesn't really mean much. It could be a lot of decks.
I would agree with that idea of sometimes it's best just not to give the information to your opponent. Particularly when you're playing a deck like ABC, where I think it can be fragile to certain interactions.
Yeah. While it is different a lot from other decks that go second in this format.
Yeah.
So, incredible field by Daniele. He has 2 negation from Gamma Seal that banish, 1 negation from the Abyss, and still Colossus on the field, all boosted by Saruya. So it's an incredible opening, and he's done. So let's see.
I mean, I think that's the opening that he wants. I'm not sure if there's much more that he can add to an opening.
Yeah, it seems like that's his goal. And yeah, Burak, as we predicted, doesn't want to show what he's playing. There is no point in playing it out because Colossus itself was basically enough to lock him out of the duel.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It is a very skillful conceit there. I think, you know, there's no point just burning the resources and pretending that you have something when both players know realistically there isn't an answer to that board in game 1.
Yeah. It is something that not everyone does, but it's definitely clutch because it can definitely keep you from even mislead your opponent in the side deck. You never know.
I mean, if it were game 3, I would play it out. But
of course,
information advantage is valuable, particularly in game 1. Do you think that we are going to see him going second here, or do you think he is going to side and go first?
It's complicated because the ABC deck, like this version with the Sky Striker card, is not very well equipped by going first. Because like the only way you can summon ABC is like a very fortunate combination with like both the Engage, or rather the drones, and the Hunger, which is not very likely to happen. And even his side deck is basically almost all equipped for going second. I do see some mind drains, which he might even put in this matchup just because of dangers, but they aren't particularly good. But since Daniele is playing also Thunder Dragon cards, it might make sense to try and lock him out of the duel with that.
Yeah, I'm liking the luck of Called Bedgrave and Imperial Order, which are in the side deck.
Sure.
These are cards that I would be considering.
For sure, those are gonna come in, because honestly, evenly matched doesn't seem like he's gonna do much in this matchup. If Daniele is stopped by an Anthrop, he's gonna have a board. If he's not, he's gonna have negations for evenly matched. So this is more of a sphere mode type of deck.
Yes, and we don't have sphere mode here.
We don't, unfortunately, because I mean, you really need the normal summon in ABC.
For Daniela's deck, like as Daniela, I would probably expect my opponent to go first. Again, against the Saryuja decks, I don't think most decks can afford to go second.
I agree.
Evenly isn't sufficient when your opponent has multiple negations.
I agree, but at the same time, I would say you're playing a combo deck that's very aggressive. So what I would suggest is like siding in the Fantastical Dragons, which are really good across every matchup. And you just side out maybe some specific cards like the Eradicator Virus and maybe other engines. But overall, you don't side a lot with combo decks because you don't want to break. You want to be able to do whatever you want, even going second. And what are the chances that your opponent is playing a trap deck? Not very high if they let you go first.
I think that's completely reasonable. Like, the scariest thing that your opponent could have here for the Saryuja deck is either a Vanity's Fiend, or there can be only one.
Yeah.
One of those type of cards, which, as we've said, as we've seen so far this tournament, are a lot less common than people were expecting going into this event. So ABC, again, just at this event, we're seeing so many decks that have been around for such a long period of time.
Exactly. It seems like you could play whatever deck at this event, and it is actually the case when you play such a large event.
Yeah.
What matters the most is the consistency and being able to just know every situation, because you're gonna come up across different fields.
Yeah.
So if you play what you're comfortable with, then you're gonna get rewarded most of the times.
12 rounds does mean that the random corner cases that come up in 5% of games are going to come up for you.
Yeah.
And having that familiarity with your deck is crucial. I think, you know, you always have that friend who goes into the event and has been testing a deck for months, and then last minute says, no, I'm going to play something else.
Sure.
And it seems to always end up poorly for people, because while you can learn the combos for a deck pretty quickly, it's those kind of weird scenarios where you have a clunky hand and there is a line, but you don't see it immediately, where you really get you get the payoff for showing loyalty and
Yeah.
sticking with a deck.
And we saw, okay, so an handshake, and Burak actually decides to go first.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this is not the type of deck where you have the option to do that. Like, I get his point, because you do want to go first against such an explosive deck, but as I said, you don't really have any kind of opening. You need to draw a combination of engage plus the fuel spell, and it did open a few interruptions, but
Yeah, I'm looking at the Droll Lockbird, and I think that's the most promising card here, because it can prevent Saryuja from letting Daniele cycle through his deck.
Exactly.
And that's probably what I care about most.
Sure, but now the problem is if you're playing with one less card, even if you use like the Drone Lockbird, the cards he has face down are Widow Anchor and Call by the Grave.
Yeah.
Call by the Grave seems to be the best one in the sense that it gets you back to +1,
Yes.
but the other one are strictly -1s, and I'm getting worried that he basically has to play the 1900 beat stick game plan, and it doesn't seem like he can get him there. Mind Control, on the other hand, could be a turning point. So depending on how good these interruptions turn out to be, we're gonna be on Daniele's end. So
A Assault Core beatdown is not the plan we want to be on.
definitely not. It can get you there sometimes. It does get you
It has
there.
happened.
But definitely not what you wish you weren't going for.
I mean, he just needs to get AA, and then, like, doesn't matter how many 1900 beaters your
Exactly.
opponent has. You just cycle your
Cycle.
A's.
Just now, let's remember, it was put back to 3 in the
Exactly.
latest Forbidden list.
So he's trying to move it with Spacia. Are we going to see, or are we just discussing the effects of the card here?
Yeah, he's just explaining. Of course, you want to be sure you don't get anything mixed up. So now the drawn lock is in play, but again, it doesn't mean that Daniele has to extend too much. He's gonna go just like last game, trying to move the LP, and we're gonna see the Widow Anchor again.
Do we Widow Anchor the Spacia, or I assume we just let him move the LP and then we...
I was
Widow
thinking
Anchor
about the
LP?
same thing. I don't necessarily think it matters too much, but
I mean, I guess force boat activations
yeah,
is just... If you're not sure what to do, that's generally what I would...
yeah. At the same time, you give him an extra zone, and if you negate the LP, then they have access to non-dragon cards.
The LP is pointing to the side anyway, so... he
yeah.
still has-
No, what I meant, is the dragon part is most relevant, I could say.
Sure,
But
sure. Oh. This is not what I was expecting.
okay, so he doesn't want to negate here. Maybe he got panicked. He negated in game 1, and he saw that it didn't really do much. So maybe now he thinks that he has to wait for the Skull Dread.
Yeah.
But the thing
But the
is,
Skull Dread is less impactful here. because
Exactly.
you can't tell.
at the same time, he doesn't know what's happening, so he didn't see the Red Eyes Darkness in game 1. So he can't be sure that that's what he's going for.
So he's thinking here, do I want to Widow Anchor the Red Eyes, or do I want to call by the Grave to target? I am totally on the Widow Anchor plan here, because we know that the Guard Dragon deck wants to send the Red Eyes away, to link summon and then bring it back. And so then when he goes to bring it back, you just call by the grave it then.
But then you use 2 resources that could have been just the Widow Anchor if you negated the LP in the first place.
Yes.
So that's a little bit of odd,
I mean,
let's say.
if you're planning on playing a grind game, getting rid of the red eyes is good. But at the same time, we do have the issue here that it's just a beater on board now.
In grind games, the Call-Up Serpent engine is definitely really good. So that's not something Burak wanted to see.
Oh,
now
is this Boral Sword for game? I think we are going to see a Boral Sword
Yeah.
come out. Does he play Boral Sword?
He does.
Yes, he does. He plays all of the Borals, with the exception of Boral Guard,
Yeah,
who is unloved.
He's playing even the new Borrelot Synchro, so
Yes.
he does go for Borrelot Sword. Makes a lot of sense. It's he smells the weakness. He smells blood, honestly, because Burak seems to be quite open to such a scenario.
Yeah. I mean, again, Burak can bluff here. He can say, look, I've got another Widow Anchor. You don't have game.
Yeah, he needs to add the Weather Buster. I don't think if you forgot about it, yeah. It doesn't seem like it's super relevant. He's entering battle phase, and let's see. It goes the handshake. Well done by Daniele. 2-0 victory, quite convincing with his unique deck. So let's go to the post-match discussion and talk about what happened.
So, ABC versus Crusadia. Really interesting decks. I think, unfortunately, the ABC deck just didn't get the hands it was wanting to see. Game 1, he made his opponent go first, and then you just slowly watch your opponent build this insanely powerful board, and that must be very frustrating, right?
For sure.
And then Game 2, he does go first, which is something that we thought he would do.
Yeah.
But his hand, unfortunately, was not a going first hand. Realistically, though, I think even going second, he would have struggled with that hand. Because
Definitely.
we saw that the Crusadia deck, even through Droll and Lockbird, was able to get its Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon out. And it would have been able to end on a board.
Yeah, we've seen throughout this weekend that dangers, of course, are not a surprise. They are really popular. Yeah. But we have seen that if you want to play a combo deck, you can either have the Orcust engine, which we've seen is quite good and fantastic. Like at the same time, I really love it. But also the Guard Dragons. They are such an incredible amount of link monsters. They can get you to any dragon. We didn't show it, but Daniele was citing a copy of the Goliath, which we've seen in the past. So he has a lot of different approaches. It's such a small engine that, if used correctly, can get you to a lot of extenders, and I'm sold on the deck. The quick launch seems like a nice addition. We have seen it in game 1. It just let him advance his combos, and overall it seems like at the beginning of the day, as we showed previously, there were a lot of control decks, we can say, in the form of Salamangreat and Sky Strikers, but now the combo decks are slowly climbing the way to the top. Yeah. So I hope that they will get it in top 64. I definitely want to see some Orcus, maybe some Crusadia decks, and I'm looking forward to have even more combo decks. So
yeah, these decks are really interesting. They have such different approaches to what the control decks of the format are doing. And I think, are we ready to pass over to Ollie for the player interview?
Thank you very much, guys. What a match we've just had in round number 11. Daniele, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That was very convincing. So you're sitting down, your opponent wins the die roll. You're like, that's not good for me.
Yeah, I was thinking he starts, but he decided to start me, and I have a good hand.
Yeah, to say the least, that was quite the hand.
Yeah.
And then
Broken hand.
we looked at your deck up front. These guys said there's a little bit of everything in the deck.
Yeah.
It seems to be like the Swiss Army knife. You got so many different pieces that are working together. So how did you end up with this build? How did you end up with this deck?
Because there are 3 different archetypes in the deck, no? Crusadia, Thunder Dragon, and Danger, no? And I can confuse the opponent with a different play, no?
Right.
And the example is Allure, Banish Drawer, use Ash. I can use Crusadia and.
So you even can play mind games with your opponent and make him think you're playing something else with the deck.
Yeah, I think I have a problem with the Floodgate and with Salamangreat. No? I have an horrible matchup, no? And I have sided Pancratops because it's good, and I don't know if we play a Pendulum deck with or a Luna Light deck with Azathoth or DDD Monster Kali Yuga, and Pancratops is a good with for destroy the card the target for rank up.
Right.
I don't know what he play.
He was actually playing ABC, but I think you didn't see much of that. Yeah. So you win the first game. You're going to the side deck. Didn't really see much of what your opponent was playing.
No, I don't know.
So what's your side decking strategy when you don't know what he's playing?
If we used in the first game more entraps, I decided to side Twin Twister and Pancratops. If you don't use obviously to stop me, I go to luck.
Okay, that's an option apparently.
Because my deck can close in one turn.
Right.
You can see Gamesiel, Colossus, Othred. It's difficult to
So
destroy
basically,
his field.
after you put the fear of God in him and OTK'd him in your very first turn, he decides to go first in the second game.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? Were you like, okay, this is bad for me?
Yeah, it's bad.
Generally speaking, yeah.
But I decided to side Pancratops, and it was good for this because you go first, and I draw it Pancratops, but I don't use it because then to use a monster.
So let's put this differently. Could this match have gone any better for you? I think this was like the ideal match, right?
Ideal match for me, Go Fist versus Thunder Dragon Danger and Orchestrated Danger. Yeah.
Okay, so very close to perfect.
Don't use the end trap.
You're right, so almost perfect for you. All right, so you're with 1 foot basically in the top 64.
Yeah.
How are you going into the last round of Swiss? Very nervous?
Yeah.
Very nervous.
I'm very nervous. But
okay. Well, we have a lot of Italians in the room. I'm sure they're going to come up to you. They said, well done.
Yeah.
Good feature match. So, and also from my side, all the best for the last round.
Thank you very much, man.
All right, guys. That's it for our feature match. We're going to go on a short break, and then we're going to be back here on the main event stage. And then it's time to play a little game. I'm actually going to hand out booster packs here on the main event stage. So if you want to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Games and you want to win some booster packs, just stay here in front of the main event stage, and we're going to make that happen in just a few seconds. So we're going to go on a short break, then we're going to be right back and try something new for you guys. Sit tight, enjoy the show. We're going to be right back.